Good morning, everyone. I've got a day off today and I felt like being a bit creative. This will just trip you out. Whoa. So I want to make, I guess, a old school cravat. And to do that, I like to try and reuse other things. So this, you can see, used to be a skirt. There's not much left of it because I've been chopping it up to make things. And I thought I'd try a do it yourself, do it with me, do it whatever. So you need some fabric. This, as I said, this is actually a stretch cotton. So it's, it's not brilliant, but it'll do. I like to reuse fabric where I can, especially with the pattern I haven't done before. This is a very simple pattern. So anyone can join in. So if you'd like to join in making with me a cravat from, I guess, 1820s maybe. Basically, it's a long rectangle of fabric. I'm going to hem the edges, join the pieces together because it's not in one piece because we're reusing that, and that'll be it. Some hand sewing. Done. So this is a hand sewing challenge. Yay! And there's my hand to show you. Anyway, so this is a red and white stripe cotton with a bit of elastin in it. I wouldn't normally use that, but. So first step, obviously, is working out how long you want it to be. Focus, darling. There we go. And as I said, this used to be a circle skirt, so it was cut on the bias. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is run, joyously, I'm going to run these strips. I've already started because I thought I'd start, and then I went, hey, I could film this. So I've cut 2 pieces out so far. That's the back of it, that's the front of it. Hang on a second. I just sneezed, not corona. I hope, but we don't get tested over here, so unless you're in hospital. Anyway, so I've cut 2 pieces out already, but I realized that while I can put it around my neck, so this one, it wraps from the front of the neck around to the back, crosses over and comes back, and then ties with a bow or multiple bows or tie or floppiness in the front with usually a pin. While this is long enough to tie at the front, it's not long enough to do a nice bow. So I want to have a third piece. So I'm just working out the length of this, the width of this, and then we're going to chop it off. So you can see here, I'm just I'm not even using a pen, so I'm just going to mark this both sides, going to cut this off. I've started doing that here, and we'll see how we go from there. So there we go. So I'm sitting up on the bed, and there is the lovely puss watching out the window. Because we're both working from home, we live in a small terrace terrace house, and so I'm up on the bedroom because that's where it's sort of quiet. So I have like a little traveling kit of sewing stuff. It's not got everything I would normally use, but it's got the basics if you're like, oh, I've really got to just quickly do this. So, ta-da! Ta-da! This is my chalk. Multiple colours and some random crap that collects. As you know, when you have boxes of things collect. So I do have chalk, I'm just not using it today. I also have my needle box. This is a box I got ages ago. It's magnetic, so it's great because in theory they don't fall out. Yay! And again, it's got needles with threads and stuff in it, so makes that nice little click. Look at that, that's great. And it's got a hook on it, I'm assuming to pretend it's like a chatelaine needle, but no. Pins. This used to have a foam, those yellow foamy things on the top? Yeah, this is an old pin box. But it's still working, so the foam's gone, and it has a random hook from a German dirndl hook and eye. But there you go. We also have scissors, little baby scissors for cutting threads, and big scissors. I will be buying a pair of Whitneys at some point, but in the meantime, what brand is this? Tree. but they're good. We've had them sharpened a few times. We've sharpened them ourselves. They work, they cut, and they're only ever for fabric. Always keep your fabric and your thread and your paper scissors separate. A trusty seam ripper, shed ripper. Where the lid has gone, who would know? But they are invaluable. Cheap little things, but invaluable. But don't buy the cheapest, because the cheapest will mean that this bit here is never sharp, and then you might as well be doing it with your teeth. Ribbons, because there you go. I'll come back over here. Some cabbage, and also actual bit of beautiful silk, which if I'm happy with this pattern and the length, I will then probably make a silk one in this lovely raw silk that I've had for years, and I made a chemise out of because I could. And then here's a bit of silk taffeta. Look at that. Oh, it's actually silk satin, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Threads. We have mostly polyester threads because they're just quick and easy. They don't usually knot too badly. This is a silk thread. You always know a Gooderman silk thread because it's blue. Saying that, is it silk? Am I going mad? No, yeah, there we go. 100% silk. Polyester. You can tell the colours I use most often, can't you? Yeah, they're more the usual stuff when you have a box of stuff that's full of, got some space, stuff gets put into it. Tape measure, useful. There you go. Dead bits of ribbon from things, projects I've taken off, other ribbons that I thought maybe I would need but I haven't used yet. Pens, just if you're wanting to draw or write stuff. More thread. This is a surprising colour. This is this weird lilac. You're not going to be able to tell in this light, but it's a weird lilac, but it goes with so many of the lighter colours. If you can't get a match, it basically will go with white. Do you see what I mean? It also goes with like pale colours. It's just a really great, almost like a utilitarian colour, and it's this weird lilac. Anyway, there you go. Alliette ends, both really pretty ones, and then some basic ones, just in case we're doing lacing. Oh look, another tape measure. Because you have, let's see who can guess what this is. First of all, it's a piece of bone that's been polished. This is actually hubby's. He's had it for ages. I don't know if that curve was always there, but anyway. Have you guessed it yet? Have you guessed? I'll come back to it. More ribbon. We've got some very wide bias tape. Most of it's purchased. A box of safety pins, just because handy. And, oh, yeah, baby. Oh, look. There's the lid for the seam ripper. Where'd the seam ripper go? Hello, seam ripper. Hello. Hey. And, pinking shears, which is so need an oiling. But this is great if you're wanting to just do a fabric like wool or other fabric that doesn't fray too badly, and this just stops that little bit of fraying. They're amazing. I love them. And some buttons and some embroidery floss, a very bright embroidery floss, ribbons, a dead zip that I've taken probably from this skirt, to be honest. Buttons, a raven I was painting for a project I was doing, and the last thing, little tiny ruler. Where you are, yeah. So there you go. You can see how big this box is. The main issue when you're going for a box like this, if you're going to have a big pair of scissors, make sure those scissors fit, and then that's fine. That's as big as you need it. So there we go. So yes, that's my stuff. Oh, and okay, this is not a busk because it's a bone, but it is a seam flattener. So when you're working on things, you can actually like get two seams and push it down, you know, if it's like turned over this way and isn't overlocked like this, two simple seams, you can flatten them, without an iron, but it does a really nice little job of tidying up tiny little corners. That's what it is. So I'm just cutting along here, following one of these pinstripe lines to get as much of the extra fabric as I can. This is quite interesting. It's a bit challenging with one hand holding the phone at the other, because I, unlike many others, have not got the setup I'd planned to have. And now that we're in lockdown, well, yes, I can't. And now I'm just going to cut the other side. I've measured that from the other pieces. I haven't done a measuring because I'm following by stripe lines. Hopefully that will mean I can then line it up really nicely, unless I have completely stuffed that, in which case I'll be cutting a line or two of thread off, because this is all, it's got to be hemmed yet. So there we are. Ta-da! And another strap. And then this is more scrap, cabbage, whatever you want to do. Now I just need to straighten this up here on both sides. Okay. I'll just bring that to there. I could unpick this, but it's already cut on the cross, so I'm not going to worry. And this, to be honest, this is eyeballing it, and I will probably have to tidy it up after. So there we go. So now we have another piece. So now we have 3 pieces, 2 of which I've already pinned together, but it was just a test. So I'm going to have a look and I'll pin it all together. I'll come back when it's all pinned. So when you're lining up pieces, you want to try and, obviously with little pinstripes like this. Now this is going to be up at the neck, so in some ways it's not going to be really seen, and in other ways it will. So what we want to try and do is line it up. And usually what would be nice is if you do it this way, you can sort of see, luckily with this, because it's unlined at the moment, and I'm not going to line it, I'm just going to hem it. I'm going to line the pieces up together, and then I'm going to pin them so that they're nice and even, and then I'll show you, and I'll do that for both pieces, and I'll show you what it looks like. Right, so I've pinned the 2 together here. They matched up nicely. This one, however, this was cut first before I decided on the other 2 pieces, so you can see it's actually, what, 2 whites and a red wider. So I'm just going to trim that back, and I'll be back with you in a second. But it's just so that people, you know, if you're not going to measure exactly with a ruler or with a tape measure, this sort of thing could happen. And you just have to be prepared to do a little bit of trimming and tidying to match up. And there we go. It's all lined up now on this side. And there is the scrap, which actually looks really cute. It's a shame I can't use it for anything. But anyway, I can use it for the kitten to play with. Yes. 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 And this will be the best bit of the video for some people, is the kitten, who's not a kitten at all. She's 5 years old. Anyway, whatever. Back to the, oh, hello. Hello. Hi. Anyway, back to this. Sorry about cats. So there we go. This is all ready to go now. If you've noticed, I don't know if you have, I hope you have, you've noticed, I'm going to do a flat fell seam. So, well, that's what I call it. I'm hoping that's the right term. I'm going to stitch across from here to here, and then this is going to roll over, and then over again. Oh, if I can, big fingers. This is challenging. There we go. So it's going to be sewn here. Then I'm going to roll that edge over, and then it will roll over again, and then it will be tacked back down. So it will give basically a nice encased seam. It's not a French seam, it's a flat fell. And you can make them much smaller than that, but because this is stretchy, and as you can see, even as I've cut it, it wants to fray, I'm giving it a nice size seam. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to try and set the phone up so that you can see, but we'll see how we go. Wish me luck. Hello again, everyone. Well, I shoved this on a stand, like a selfie stick, and shoved it down my jumper. So let's hope it works. Let's see what we can do, hey? So weirdly, this piece here, I think this must have been up higher, like at my waist or hip, because it seems to have stretched a little bit. See that you can see that's that horrible spandex insert, but you know, whatever. So I'm just going to sew, and we'll see how we go with this. Yeah. This wasn't a good idea. I should have brought the pins over. There we are. Pins. Hooray. Who has knocked those over, hey? So I'm just going to do a little back stitch. It's just a single thread. There shouldn't be a lot of tension on this. So what I'm going to do is actually use the, what do you call it? What do you call it? The pin stripes. I'm going to use the stripes as guidelines. So with a back stitch, you just do this. It's strange at the moment. As I said, I'm on a day off from my normal work, which is not frontline, but in a hospital, in the NHS. And yeah, we are very busy at the moment. I feel a bit like an imposter because I'm not doing frontline work. And because of that, I've been busy with work. And I haven't done a lot of sewing, a lot of hand sewing. So you can see, yeah, the quality is probably not the best. There are people better than me, definitely. But you have to either start or restart somewhere. So no matter what part of your journey you are in for sewing, you can only get better if you keep practicing. And I used to be very good at hand sewing. My hand sewing was quite delicate, quite fine, and I was fast. I'm not as fast now. And that's because I am out of practice. And it's like any muscle, any memory, any exercise you do. You know, you can see with this, even though I'm actually using the stripes as a guide, I'm still not doing perfect. They're not matching. They're not even. I'm not going to blame the fact I have a camera shoved down my jumper, although that is making it a little more challenging. And to be honest, you're not going to probably hear this because this will probably be all sped up. Unless we do this as an ASMR thing where I'm just quietly talking to you, la la la, and you just watch me sew, which, you know, there's probably a place for that in YouTube and definitely in this day and age. Oh God. Oh dear, the young'uns. So this is going to be a dilemma because I'm so close to running out of thread. But we won't run out. We won't run out. Anyway. No. And keep myself in shot too. And hopefully you can't hear my heartbeat. by breathing. We'll see how we go. So I'm going to finish this off now because I'm basically done with this side. Wow, that is so bad. But anyway, who's going to see it? Not you. Well, you did. Actually, everyone's going to see this. Great. So with I'm going to double that. This is going to be rolled over at the end. So the next step, obviously, I'm going to trim this side even more, and then it's going to roll over. So it's going to be like that. We're going to restitch it, and then once we've done that, then this is going to roll over for a tiny little side hem. That's the plan. So let's get this trimmed, shall we? Put the pin there. There we go. Then we're going to open this up. So that doesn't look spectacular. I mean, I have to admit, it doesn't look spectacular. But hopefully, yeah, it looks all right. It looks all right. I've got it close to matching. So again, we pin it into place. Okay, there we go. So next I'm going to rethread with some more thread. I usually lick the top of it. I'm not going to today. Oh yeah, baby. The joy of sewing. You could see it outside, but it's daylight. I've got nice light coming through. It's clear, so I've threaded. Get off. And I'm just gonna. You don't ever want to have too much thread. And I always like to wait for it to unspin, especially when I'm not using a wax thread, because this is a cotton with elastin in it. There's no point using a wax linen thread because it's probably just going to cock it up. So I'm not doing a double, I'm doing a single thread. And you can see, let's move that out of the way for a second. So this is how I do a knot. I roll it around my finger and grab it, yeah, and then I twist. And usually what happens is that little tail, I don't know if you can see, then pops through, and then I go, ta-da, but that didn't work. So we're going to do it again, because again, I usually use my wet finger. And there we are, we have a knot. Thumbs up. Okay, so now I'm going to do this bit. I work from right to left. To be honest, I'm a right-hander. I do some things with a left hand as well, and I have no idea if this is right-handed way or left-handed way, but it's the way I do it. It probably is right-handed, left-handed, right-handed way. So if you can see what I'm doing, I'm basically going at the half line in the white and then at the red, and I'm picking up just yeah, and I'm picking up 1 or 2 strands of the fabric. That's it. That's it, like 2 of the weft or the warp. And that's just going to keep it in place. I am not using a thimble and that is because my thimble is downstairs and hubby is working and I don't want to disrupt him. So I am working without a thimble. I would normally have a thimble on this finger because when you put your needle through, you sometimes go poik, poik, poik. So we don't want that. But I will just deal with the calluses that I will gain. I need to re-get them anyway because re-establish them. And then so I was doing in between the two, but now I'm doing on either side of the red. That's because I'm using a white thread, so I'm just trying to hide the white thread in the white sections as much as possible. And I'll see if I can show you this. I've got the thread quite long. So, I usually then use, no, you can't see. When my thread gets shorter, I will show you. I usually use my pinky finger and second last finger to run the thread. Now this is something that happens. See how the thread has sort of caught on itself and then flipped back up? That can cause knots. It's always good to make sure you catch them before they become a knot. You can take that needle out, pin. Take that one out as well. Just so that stretch. Yeah, it's the pinky. Now I'm sort of doing it and then thinking about it after. I use the pinky to just give that last little bit of tension to the thread as I pull it through. And as I get closer, I will show you that. But this is just a running stitch. It's not a back stitch. It's sort of moving forward where you can't see it. And then where you do take the two together, you take as little as possible so you don't see much. This is great for hemming, joining seams like I'm doing here. Because obviously with this, if you had the fabric to do it in one, if you were using brand new fabric, or you, I don't know, were reusing a piece of fabric, but it was all in one long piece, you wouldn't need to do these central seams. If you do, like me, have to do central seams, it's always good to have those seams not in the center front. Put them in the back, put them on the sides, so that it's not quite as noticeable. I know these matched. These matched. Now what's going on? I don't know. Is this one too long too? Maybe. It's a very strange, stretchy fabric. I'm not very happy with it, but I love the stripes so much. You can't not have a striped cravat, even if it isn't fully 100% period fabric. Sometimes needs must, and the devil farts in your face, as they say. So, there we go. So it looks like I have cut this slightly too wide, but, you know, I'm going to hide that with the hem. So I'm just doing a double roll, twist around, and there we go. And then I always like to run the fabric back through, obviously not the front, but the back, so that it just gets hidden. The tail gets tidied away. So there we are. That is one seam done. And from the front, you know, you can see it a little bit if you're looking. But it's not too bad. And I have matched it up pretty perfectly. Just a bit there. It's just stretched. You can see it's sort of bubbling. But this is going to be up around the neck, so you're not going to really see it much. There we are. So we'll do the same with the other piece. Yep. And then we'll come back.